Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Okay. Give me a minute. I'll just share the board. Just getting a Scrum board. Hi, can you see the board?
Yes.
Okay, cool, thanks. Okay, all right, it's June 12th, the week of release for R1, and on Monday we had a Scrum meeting. So, John, before we go through the list, I know you added a few things for the weekend. I did not get a chance to catch up. So, you and both Wim, would you like to say something?
Yeah. So I guess the current state is we get through. So we have a series of EDE sprints, and they bring up the whole environment. They get basically get the cluster set up, get the bunch of the 3-5 GCNFs up and running on a regional cluster. So where we're getting stuck right now is AMF and SMF deployment. That's sort of the next step. And we get part of the way there. There's a couple PRs, at least one or two we know we need to merge to make that get through. So yeah, we just have a couple days left. So I'm really hoping that by the end of the day today, I know it's the end of the day for a lot of you in Europe already, but for the end of my day today, we have the AMF and SMF coming up, maybe even the UPF, certainly the AMF and SMF. So Dennis has also worked on packaging the UE ransom into an EDE test. In order to get that to work, there's some network pieces we have to get in. So, but just trying to go stepwise, I want to get AMF and SMF running as soon as possible, and then UPF running on the edge clusters. And sorry, we're driving. Anyway, so then it's documentation, right? So I feel like we're behind. I'm a little bit anxious, but we have a few days, and I think we can pull it through. And I've got, this is what I'm going to be focused on anyway. So I think I'd love to get our AMF and SMF up and running today. That would be ideal.
Okay, cool. Thanks, John. Thanks for that level set. So probably we can go through the board and see where we are doing for each one of them. Let's do a little bit quick on today's items, and then probably towards the end we can discuss any pending main items. So on this one, the manual test run on the sandbox provisioning. Let me.
Yeah. So on these three issues, there was a merge maybe it was last weekend, or I don't know when it was, but of like a test on Windows, which like sort of slipped by. And one of the things I noted on there was, hey, let's take this and document it, because like I didn't even know it had been done, which is really cool. So I think that's what we should do for all three of these items, is basically take the current README we have to do the sort of step through of the end-to-end test, move that into the docs directory, but then split off the front of it, the head of it, to be like, here's a GCE setup, here's a Windows setup, here's a generic Ubuntu VM setup. So each of these three, if there's special things that needs to be done in each of these environments, they would have their own separate little file. And then there'd be one file that's like, once you get the sandbox set up, then you start these EDE tests, and it doesn't matter what platform you're on. So that's kind of how I was hoping to move all of that to the documentation area. And so I don't know if there's anybody who's available to work on that. Otherwise, it's something I can work on tomorrow probably, but I want to get the pieces working first.
Yeah, and this one, you mean to say, I just wanted to know, I mean, there was some pending item. It was a crashing first time, it was second time. I think probably we could document that. That's what we ended up in the last meeting. So is that where we stand? Just wanted to.
I think we're still going to try to fix those issues. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Retail prices after discounts. Я знаю, сколько стоит реально продукт.
Hello?
Поэтому мы будем посмотрим.
Yeah, it was.
Hello?
Just some
Okay.
crosstalk. Just some crosstalk.
Yeah, probably not for this meeting. Yeah.
So I was just going to say, okay, sorry.
Hi John,
Yes.
this is Francesco. I did the test on Windows, so I can create a page for the Windows run. Then after that change got in, then is nothing more than get the Vagrant VM up, and then I mean I can put some notes inside. And
I was yeah, I was actually going to, because what I was going to do here was I was just going to write a short kind of recovery script which automated the taking down and the bringing back up of the three packages, you know, just to kind of because it's you know, telling people to go in and look at, you know, it's the management one with the root sync, do one thing, and if it's you know, if it's the one without the root sync, then do something else. A little bit complicated, so it's probably easier to write the script than to write an explanation. But I write the script and then I'll say, if you run into this problem, run this script or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Liam. So and people have seen that in other environments. So maybe we spin off, we put a troubleshooting section that applies to all the environments.
Yeah, maybe we should just have a subdirectory called hacks or something under that provision for now. And I'll put a look. I'll raise a PR for the script and we can decide where to put it then. Okay.
Cool, thank you. I think it's also part of the workarounds. It's also part of the docs. The hacks is a great directory.
The other thing that I was thinking about, especially for OpenStack, maybe for after R1, so we should consider like to include all these instructions as a Terraform scripts. Now, the only thing supported in Terraform is like GCE, but eventually we have to expand that scope to consider OpenStack as another environment supported.
Yeah, well, I mean, absolutely. But really, we have to fix this, whatever's causing this. So ultimately, you know, I think it might take a few days for somebody to dig into it at this stage. We probably don't have the time in R1.
Yeah, I guess that was leading to my question. Do we have resources to maybe debug this a little bit closer? I don't know. I saw Vim and John, you're on the Slack thread, but we didn't seem to determine why the secret wasn't yet created.
So I would suggest, if there's a viable workaround in this environment, let's do it for now.
Okay.
Yeah, let's start with the workaround, and if we have time, we'll debug that. I think that there's a few ideas I have, but like I want to get the EDEs running first, and you know, sort of like deal with the happy path.
No problem.
Yeah, it might even be a good learning thing for us to have a go at debugging it. But maybe we can after R1, but we try and help the R1 release now. Okay.
Yeah, the only thing what I would say is that if you can collect, because for me, the thing that we have to collect is the log from the Nephew controllers, because that's where it happens, in my view. And having those logs would anyhow help us going forward. If we see it, would help to pinpoint where the issue comes from, right?
Yeah, we have those logs.
Yeah, we have one piece, but the question is it always the same or not? And then I agree with John. Let's first focus on getting it to work, and then we have to make it better.
Absolutely. Well, we have no problem reproducing it afterwards, Vim, anyway, so we can come back to it. Like we can circle back on it afterwards. So, but there's no problem with us publishing the logs like or anything like that. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll also capture the porch server and porch controller logs.
Okay.
Because if one of them be that porch is crashing and it's causing delays, and
Yeah.
So anyway,
All right, thank you. Let's move on to the next one in the interest of time. So again, this is kind of a nice to have at this point of time. Not mandatory, but you know, and you said you were busy doing something else, right? This is not your priority, is what I understand. Is it right?
Yeah, I've already pushed a very important set of meetings from this week to next week, so I have to focus for that.
Okay.
And I'm not going to be available this week, unfortunately. Sorry. I can show up and attend these meetings and try to track what's going on, but
Okay.
anything
Got
that I
it.
can contribute has to be starting next Thursday, the week
Okay.
after next week,
Okay.
next Thursday, next week. Sorry.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine. And thanks. This is anyway. It's nice
It-
to have. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We can even do it post all one. This particular stuff.
Yeah, it's nice to have because it's a dev environment for somebody who wants to learn and contribute, but I have no
Yeah.
time right now. Sorry.
That's okay. Thanks, Sam. Thanks for your contributions. So, and then this again for the vSphere one, I think Dennis, I think again the scope was not to just to run it on vSphere VM, not to do it on
Well, the question is like if that VM has to come up manually, so I can create it, you know, and then after that I can use E2ESA.sh script to create environment or to run tests. Then I will be able to do that. But create virtual machine, provide IP address, and in one script, probably not this week.
no,
Sure.
the idea is just you bring your own VM. So you've got a VM, it's an Ubuntu VM, and then you would just log into that with SSH, install Git, I guess. Basically do it manually. You could do with the GCE and its script, which is basically pull down the test info repo and run the provisioning script. I
And-
mean, or you could.
What is the outcome then? Like, I just if I able to reach to deployment of SMF UPF, or then it's fine. If I cannot, then I just start debugging, or like, what is the outcome then? Because I guess virtual machine is just virtual machine, right? It's generic, like, so I expect it to run.
Exactly. So do I. That's why it's like a manual test and then a document. This is how you would do it. Like ideally, I think I said in that one ticket, like Fikra, I think at one point said like, hey, I'm just running, you know, curl pipe to bash. Like I'd love to be able to tell people, okay, you know, you wanna set up an FEO demo sandbox environment, create an Ubuntu VM, log into it, curl this .sh file and pipe it to bash, and it'll be up and running. And then you can go to the UI, you can run the e2e.sh if you want, that runs through the whole thing. So it should be generic, should just work. This is just, we've tried it in this environment and we know it works. So,
okay.
and if there's any issues, like, you know, that you need to document, we would document them. But it may be that there's like literally a generic Ubuntu VM that works on vSphere and all these different ones.
Yeah, okay. Now it's more clear, because I was looking into actually creating just, let's say, by one command or one script whole environment, like, you know, pushing virtual machine. But yeah, that would take a little bit more time. And do I understand correctly that I can start as entry point when I have virtual machine, like in G Cloud, Google Cloud, first command, you give a row, you give a script as a URL. Right? Can I use that script as initial like point for me, like in Ubuntu VM and vSphere?
Yeah, in fact, I think Fikra, when he did it on OpenStack, just used that same script. And what happens is the only really GCE specifics in there is grabbing the metadata. In that actually, you know, it's got default. So if it fails, it just uses the default. So it actually works on any environment. But we would, you know, so yeah, theoretically we can. I describe it in that comment there that's linked, but I think we can theoretically just almost take that script as it is.
Okay, then I will be able to do that not tomorrow, on Wednesday. Tomorrow I'm flying, so on Wednesday it's for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dennis. Yeah. And again, I know you're busy this week, but really appreciate it. And then this one, so did we, I know, I think Wim said some of the PRs merged. Were they related to this one, Wim? Or
No.
this one was, we were debating, right? I mean, which way to go?
Yeah, so this is the write-up on the how to do that dependency between SMF and UPF.
Yeah, that's the side of specialization going to the SMF controller.
So there is a few parts here, right? So I think one open question that Stephen has is how do we make the dependency of UPFs sorry, available in the SMF package, right? So that's
So you what you have here is the interface between specialization and the SMF operators and the SMF controller. So I'm fine with your proposal on that one, because it's the matter of passing it now on the controller front. On the other side, on the pre-deployment part, is how do we resolve the set of UPFs that the SMF package would be dependent on?
Yeah, so John, the proposal is, I don't know, or could be so the dependency, I would propose to use the package name of UPF, right?
Okay.
The question is, how can we?
So how do you annotate that? where do you?
How can we inject that inside of the package?
Mhm.
So we can use an injector, but for an injector, we have to have the dependency outside, right? So that's one way to do it that I know of.
I would.
Or we do a function pipeline. We can also write a function.
Yeah, we could use we could set a default in there, and then we could use a search replace function if you want to change it in your package variant set. You could use a good add a function pipeline that changes it to point to a different package name if you have a different package name.
And how would that value be set in the SMF package?
So in the SMF package, so I'm imagining, I think you defined like a resource. It'd be like a Sentinel resource in the SMF package that it could be, like you said, something that we inject, or it could just be a local config. If it's a local config, we have to use a function to tweak it. If it's injected, we can use a resource.
But you're saying there's a Sentinel resource and we change the name of it. So it means that, let's call it, we have a package, let's call it core or something. I don't know, mass market is what we said at some point, right? Let's say this is the package name and that we use UPF-mass market or SMF-mass market, and that mass market is going to be injected. It's going to be the package name in all the things, and that Sentinel resource will become UPF-mass market, and as a result, that's what's going to be used to be leveraged.
Maybe. I mean, I was just imagining in the SMF resource, you just have, in the SMF package, you just have a resource called requires UPFs or requires UPF configs, and then it would have it would probably have either an annotation or a field value, spec value that says the package name of the UPFs that it needs, and then you'd have a controller that sees that, a specializer that sees that package in there, and then goes out and queries for all those UPF packages named that, and copies their UPF deployments.
Yeah, so that's the way to do it, I think, Stephen, right? So
So
when you
to get it straight, so I know who's connected to who. So in this case, the idea would be to go into the package resource and change.
no.
the field.
So what we would do is the following: in the SMF package,
Uh-huh.
we have what, let's call it a Sentinel resource or whatsoever, right?
Uh-huh.
And that has a default name. Let's call it example or something like that, right? That's what we are using these days, right?
Okay.
And then you also have UPF package by which there is nothing, right? But that's Sentinel resource is example, but it says it basically implies whether we make it explicit or not is a detail. I think we'll say this is UPF dependencies. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's actually exactly the same. It's a requirement resource. It's the SMF package saying, I require UPF information.
Correct,
and it works like the other specialized. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then what happens, Stephen, when you schedule it, right?
Mhm.
You basically make the package name like the purpose, or I call it the purpose, like mass market or private wireless is what we call it, right? So that the package name of both the SMF and the UPF will become SMF dash, then that's
Okay.
private
So
wireless.
that's basically that basically would be the PVS name.
Yes, but that's also, so the function is going to use that to transform the Sentinel resource with that same package name. So it's going to transform.
So it's basically like SMF dash
Correct.
purpose.
Yes,
And then UPF dash purpose, and then okay, that's probably the easiest way to do it. Yeah.
And then we transform it, and then the specializer knows that this is the resource, and then it picks it up and
So
injects.
specializer knows that is UPF first and then SMF, because even the topology manager would not even be making that order.
No. Yeah.
So we,
And
we
that's
assume
Well,
the
it's
specializer.
because it's like eventually consistent, right? Like I think we discussed this on the issue, like UPFs may come and go, and what will happen is that the specializer is continuously reconciling, and it'll go, oh, there's a new UPF, I'll inject a new UPF config into this SMF, and then over.
No, what I'm saying is
that
the idea that
Yeah.
the SMF, depending on UPF, is a built-in knowledge into the specialization pipeline.
It's the fact that the resource exists is telling it there's a dependency.
Oh, I see. You're dumping it statically into a package.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then at that point you're looking into, hey, this is all for this purpose, and therefore anytime that this new UPF comes up with this purpose, the SMF needs to be updated.
Yeah. And so
anytime a UPF comes that matches this name, we need to update the SMF.
we do something today in specialization, which is similar. So for example, when we inject the cluster, right? So today, when you deploy, so without this, even the way specialization works today, we need to know the cluster to which this gets deployed, right? How this works is that from the moment there is a fan out, right? So that is, so it works a bit differently, but it's because of an injector resource. So there is an injector resource, which is the workload cluster. So by default, it is in there, but it's empty. So it has an example value. And so we see if it's example, okay, we don't do anything. So basically specialization is saying, okay, this is not initialized, we don't care, right?
Okay.
From the moment this thing gets injected or actually scheduled, if you will, then this function runs, gives it the proper name. And from the moment the proper name is there, then the specialization acts. That's the flow.
Okay. No, so that's good. Who's putting that into a package? So I guess
I can make an example package. I mean, we have an already example package of SMF. So there's two things that we need to do is define that Sentinel resource, if you will. And then the second is we have to find the function to transform that thing and take it from the package name and transform it. So there is examples at the moment already in these packages, but
I think from a logistics standpoint, I think when you're traveling and you've got commitments, I believe, while you're traveling probably. So what is your expected, we need to sort out, since we only have a couple days left, like what the expectations are around people's ability to contribute. And, I'm willing to jump in wherever I can and devote. I've sort of set aside this, well, theoretically Wednesday I have a meeting. Kaushik's going to be in town, but
yeah, maybe
but
Friday
other than
or
that,
Thursday
I'm
too.
basically other than that, I'm focus fully on this and a completely different thing I have for
Well,
Kubernetes.
focus in
release,
general
but-
for our one, yeah, of course.
So anyway, we have a number of outstanding issues. This is a big one. Another big one is just getting the AMF and SMF and stuff up. And then there'll be an operator change related to this, right? To re-render the SMF
Yeah,
configuration
so I
file.
don't, so for this on, if you're not available, I'll also do the SMF changes.
That would be great. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that would take
yes,
higher priority
please.
than the
Yeah,
Then the,
I'll do that.
topology, yeah.
It's actually, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
So for the, okay, so let's see for the other items. I mean, I can give you a hint this evening what those, how such a resource look like, but you will have to define the semantics, Stephen, if that's okay. And then how such a function run looks like. It's fairly, we have a number of examples, but I'll give you a pointer on where to look for, and what you have to do then is add that resource.
So I don't have to write the function though, right? Do I?
No, it's we have to basically use search and replace or something like that,
Okay.
or apply replacement or something.
Yeah,
like that.
we can talk about that, Stephen. I can help
Okay.
you with that.
If
as
you
well.
can do that, that would be great, because yeah, I probably need to check in the network controller, and that's going to be my priority, I think, today. So okay, yeah, if you can, I think John, you know the thing. So if you can help Stephen, then that would be appreciated.
Yeah, let's work together on that, Stephen.
Yeah, I think I know we discussed quite a few choices for this one for a few days. Yeah, whatever is the easiest one, I would say, for our one. Yeah, cool.
Okay.
And then someone has to build a specializer still, right? But maybe we can discuss that offline.
Yeah, let's.
yeah.
I think let's discuss. Let's see where we are tomorrow. I think that I don't think that's. I think we've got a number of examples of that are very similar, so I don't think it's going to be too hard. But let's see where we are tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So added Stephen to that one. Okay, so that was a big one. Intercluster networking demo. What is this one?
So I've made some progress in this myself, but I think what I understand, John, let's first make it statically work, and then we'll do the dynamic part, right? But I will, in the weekend, I made the dynamic part work. And I have a PR that extends the dynamic nature, which is the connect function, basically. So that's the PR that is open.
Yeah, I took a look at that. That looked pretty good. I mean, I like it's specific to this topology, which is fine, I think, for R1, right? I think that, yeah.
The function is built for sandbox. I call it sandbox, and I also call the topology these days Nephew sandbox, because it's very specific.
That makes sense.
Yeah, this is for Kai
Yeah.
cluster only, right? So yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really specific to this topology, but ultimately, like, because it's dealing with nodes and things, it probably needs to run on the workload cluster side, because right, it's gonna, if the workload cluster scales, cluster autoscaler runs or something, it's gonna need to plumb the network. So this is a huge topic, but this should work for now for R1 sandbox.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. That's what I called it. Yeah.
All right.
So when did you open a PR or what?
There is a PR open for the connect function, right? So that is there. But that is really to do it dynamically. So that PR needs to be, I don't know, let me look for the number. This is 278. And there is a whole explanation as well there, how that works.
Okay.
I think I put you on. Oh, okay. I thought I put you.
No, that's what I.
No. There is two PRs. There is the connect function, and then there is in the example packages, there is another PR that has some extensions to the example packages to extend these. So this is PR 54. Yeah, 54 is the
But you
result.
also need an actuation, right? That's the network thing you're talking about.
Yeah, the wire, the
Network
octopus.
control.
Yeah, the wire.
So I don't know if it was my phone, something just dropped out, but I think that there's basically 3 PRs, but I want to hold off on those because let's get the static thing working. And then if we've got that working, we can layer in the next layer.
Yeah, agree.
So John, you just say, are you saying that we should hold off on the PRs that Wim put together and then take it
Yeah,
there?
The connect function and there's I think going to be a total of 3 PRs. There's the connect function, then there's the use of the connect function in a package, and then there's those provide the configuration. And then there's something to actuate that configuration. That's the network controller, which I think Wim's going to submit a PR for soon. But like, let's those add a dynamic layer. Like right now, we provision 2 clusters, edge clusters in a regional cluster. And if we were to try and do the actual call, I think it would fail because there's no networking like set up between them. And so we can statically manually set that up, and we can make a call. And so that dynamic setup, but if we add an edge cluster, for example, it won't automatically connect up. So that dynamic aspect of that network is kind of a stretch goal. And so I want to make sure we get the next iteration, the next layer we need is just get our AMF and SMF up and running.
Yeah.
And then probably get the UPF up and running and also get the SMF fully configured, which is the stuff we talked about just before this. And then we can manually provision the networking between them with a script or something, so that we could ship like that, right? If we needed to. If we have time, and I'm getting more and more worried about time, if we have time, we can layer in one more layer, which is this dynamic networking layer. Then we can tell people, oh, just go add 5 clusters, and it'll automatically connect them all together, and you can run a call between any of those clusters or whatever. So, but we're just not quite there yet.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, create a next one is the create a user guide for Nephew. So one thing we could do, so probably I can copy some of your contents from the workshop, specifically the theory part of it. Not, I know a lot of change from a setup part of it, from the theory part of it about KPT, purge, confixing, things like that. Probably, I think we could take the contents that you created, John, from there. Probably I can see whether I can.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's some updates to some of the concepts and stuff, but that would be a great starting place.
Yeah, I think I'll try to do that today. I will do that today somehow. I have a little bit crazy day today, but I'm pretty sure I'll start with that one, and then probably we can iterate on that one. But it will still need a lot of new contents, John. Probably the SMEs like you, Wim, Stephen, Tal may have to pitch in for some of those other things here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of my hope, is that we can reach a point today or tomorrow at the latest where I can just focus on documentation until release after that. So, which I think will be doable. I've got it in various forms,
Yes, I saw that. I saw the end-to-end thing. A lot of it can translate into an install guide.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think we have the contents there. It's mostly, like getting the concepts that are defined in different places and putting them together in these guides, and put some structure. Yeah. So that's what it is. I'll get some, get going on this one today. The same thing with the install guide too. Probably we could do the same thing. We could get started with the scripts that you created in the provisioning, the end-to-end, and probably we can take it from there. I'll try to take a stab at these 2 docs today and tomorrow, and then probably it should be in a shape where we can add more contents to it.
Awesome. That sounds great.
Yeah. Thank you. And the same thing with the release notes. This is a easier one, except for the known issues in the workarounds. Probably we can, yeah, we can take a stab at this one too. And then probably towards Wednesday, Thursday, we can solidify these documents. So, John, for Thursday's TSC meeting, we just need to show them these are the docs we are working on. It need not be in a final shape, right? For TSC meeting.
I think everything's supposed to be completely done.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, there's going to be spit and I mean, obviously, nothing's ever done, but like we need to be in. I think the idea is that they want it to be complete, and they can say yes, it's done, it's shipped, and we tag it and we're done. So we will do our best to make it. I mean, I think it's going to be. I think we can, if we can get the EDE up and running all the way through, you know, the things we've talked about in the next day or two, the documentation, we can get a good enough documentation.
Got it. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, let's try the best. Yeah. And the Epic, this let's not go to the Epic one. The UI, do we have any package variant set? Any John? Do we have any Chandra, Ganesh, or John? Do you have any updates from them on this one?
I don't have any updates. We did merge the package variant editor.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably where we're gonna ship with that. If
Okay.
I have time, I wanna kind of see if I can add the Kubernetes Backstage plugin to our Backstage instance so that you can browse the contents of the management cluster directly in the UI, but that's a nice to have. That could be a follow on after R1.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. So define, this is the one thing. So we obviously we know it's in the TSC thing. At the same time, in the TSC call, Kandan said for the Git tagging, he's looking for us to give him some recommendations. So so this is one of the things I wanted to discuss in this meeting today, or today's meeting or tomorrow's meeting. I think probably we should decide how should we tag our Git and give him the recommendation to TSC so that they can also take that into consideration in their overall versioning and messaging story. So I think Rado mentioned that he wanted to have some numeric thing, right? 0.1 or something. Rado, do you have any recommendation for this one?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, for a Git tagging, the numerical version is just easily parsable. So if you will have something like R1.1 or just code names or whatever, it's doable. It's not a problem, but it would be just simpler to have like 0.1 or something like this, right?
Okay.
Okay. We'll see what the TSC decides. I know Kandan and I discussed this at length. I mean, the thing that's important to me is that our API versioning is tagged the way it is already, which is like nephew.org/v1 alpha1. That gives us the flexibility to evolve those APIs. I think it's actually probably fine to use 1.0 because it's not really making any, since the APIs are tagged alpha, it's not really, it's just saying it's Kubernetes based, right? So I think that we'll see what the TSC decides, but that seems like a likely, we might go with 1.0, but just since we have Kubernetes API versioning to kind of protect us from boxing ourselves in, that will be okay.
Right. So it says alpha means you're left to your own devices if you run into any problems. Then, I guess.
And that you can't expect backward compatibility on those APIs. That's like the key thing.
The issue. Yeah. I mean, there are very stable pieces of software out there that use V1 Alpha 1 APIs. The API is unstable. The software could be stable.
So on that, is a recommendation, John, Tal, Wim, Steven, anyone else, please speak out. Is a recommendation to tag it as 1.0 in Git?
Yeah, I think that would be okay. But Tal, what do you think?
So we can have, of course, multiple tags per commit, right? So there's, I do think that every component should have its own versioning, because some components might mature before others. Some components might be in alpha for years, you know, if they lag in attention, and some might become mature at some point. I think that's different from the tag for the distribution. So I think we pretty much aligned in Google internally, and the proposal that we're going to make is that we basically continue with the name R1 that we've had until now. That won't be the only tag. There could be tags per components, but for the whole distribution, we think it should be R1. I don't know if we need to tag the repositories. That's, I think, a separate question other than what we call the release, right? The release can list which tags per components, right? This component version X, this component version Y, for that distribution. But yeah, and of course we can tag everything with, say, R1 as well, right? To make it easy for people to snapshot the whole distribution at the day of release. Yeah,
I think that's needed. So, but Rado, if we tag it R1, do you have any concerns?
No,
in addition to numbers.
Not really. We can, as Tal said, we can use multiple tags for the same commit to pinpoint that this is something that we want to name something, or just use it as some stuff, right? So that's that's also doable. I mean, I have no problems with it. Just I was just concerned if we want to, let's say, tag every component with R1 to pinpoint the specific commit that we call release for this particular component. So as Tal said already, some things might change in a year or might not change at all. And it would be just, bumping the version just for the sake of, without changes or something. It just makes little sense, right? So if that's, if we're gonna kind of like multiple tag the same commit, yeah, I'm all good with it. So for the sake of CI, if we need some parsing of version, we want to do some like jobs based on versions or something, we can add a specific commit, a numerical tag or something, and use tags with whatever, just the whatever's chosen to pinpoint the version. So that's also cool.
All right. Okay. So I think probably when I think we should make a decision by tomorrow or day after, I guess. I heard two things. R1 is one thing. I also heard 1.0. I also heard it could be multiple tags are also going to be okay. So Tal and John, can you give us one kind of firm recommendation by maybe by tomorrow or day after? Whichever way that is.
Yeah, whatever Tal says works for me. So I will leave that to him.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we talked internally, and a few of us, so we'll see.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, Tal. Please give us the guidance in the next couple of days. What should be this tagging mechanism? I have a feeling that probably we may just need to communicate that to TSC as well.
Sure, and this is our proposal, but we're not the deciders. We just wanted to be aligned internally, just to be clear.
Okay.
But by the way,
for Kandan, it is important that and he is the chair of the TSC, right? It is important for him that we release version 1. He thinks if we call the entire distribution of Nephio something other than version 1, he thinks it would send the wrong message in terms of where we are and what we're doing. So that's important to him.
Okay, got it.
While
that
we-
you were saying something?
Yeah, while we're on a TSC subject, do we have any feedback about the licensing and the MPL exemption thing?
Yeah, I think that they have given us the permission to use it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. So I think that is that. Okay, this is another thing, John. Finalize repos. I'm sorry, John. I know we are asking you a lot of questions when you're driving. So finalize repos for Nephio
I'm
packages.
stopped now. I'm stopped now.
Yes, okay, I'm glad. So this is you provided a recommendation. John provided a Wim provided a simpler recommendation. So there are two things. For R1, do we need to do something at all? Is my first question. Can we leave it the way it is and then make the changes for R2? That's my first question, based on everything else on our table. If that answer is no, then probably which method we should choose, because at this point of time we have two recommendations.
So I would say, yes, we can leave it as it is. It's a little awkward and it's a little weird, but it's fine. It works. The only, what I was trying to do, and I think Wim was doing the same thing. I just wanted to try to separate out what's Nephio, what's demo sandbox, and then I wanted to and then my proposal was anyway, Nephio stuff that's like core Nephio, any Nephio installation in the world, whether it's on GKE or on OpenShift or on whatever, would need these packages. Then demo sandbox stuff. This has specific packages for setting up our demo sandbox, like Metal LB and our Metal LB configuration, like Gitty, like all of these things. Then Free 5GC. The reason I have these in a separate package, the idea was a separate repository, was that the idea would be to give an example of how a vendor might publish their packages. So, if we're wildly successful in a few years, maybe Nokia will have a Nokia repository and Ericsson will have an Ericsson repository, and they'll host them and they'll manage them and they'll be available to any of their customers, whether they have to pay to get access or not. That's up to them. And so the idea was to show how that structure could work. Now we don't need to do that in R1, but that's just kind of the idea. And then finally, the fourth one was just like all other random stuff, any other examples and things like that. So that was the structure I was proposing. Ultimately, with something like this, we've talked about in an R.X, you'd have some thing that goes through and collates and indexes packages and allows selection based upon various criteria. Obviously, we're way far away from that. So this was my sort of simple proposal at this point. But I'm open to whatever. We could just leave it as it is and worry about that later. That would be fine too. That might be the safest thing to do at this point.
Yeah, thank you, John. I think I appreciate. I think the options sound good. Wim's option was, let's make it simpler. Let's make it flat. Let's make it one repo and create different directories and do it. Is what I think the spirit of his proposal.
Yeah,
based on,
what I proposed was dump it all in one repo. And for me, I see, like you said, so there is no distinction there. Core Nephio, as you mentioned, right? But then I see it as all the rest. Like I don't make a distinction between Free 5GC or Gitia at the end of the day, because they are all, I would say, reference packages that have a purpose. And I was distinguishing configuration from the software side of the house, actually in both. And that would be my proposal. And the reason is, it's way simpler to manage right now. And then that was a bit the proposal. And of course, see, if we are for me, the first thing that we will have to achieve is have packages and caps be the norm, right? So in other words, what we did for Metal LB, we shouldn't even do. We should take the Metal LB package from Metal LB. So we should, so that's for me the first thing. And then as such, you will solve the Nokia issue or the Ericsson issue or the Mavenir issue or whomever issue, because I believe that Nokia will host their own packages somewhere, and then we just pull them from wherever they are existing.
Yes, yeah. That is absolutely true.
So, and that's why I would say dump it all in one repo for now, because, okay, I see anything that is not core is a reference implementation for now, right? And yeah.
So I think that maybe the simplest thing then is what we have now is close to what you're saying. Let's just not do anything for R1. I think that's maybe the best. Like Bala said, that's the safest thing, right?
The thing is, it has impact everywhere, right? Like your scripts, the way even the package itself, they reference other packages. So it's going to be, let's say, bad at this stage to change. I would have to say.
Yes.
And I think the happy scenario is this evening everything works, US time. So, but I think we are not there yet. But if we have a bit of time, and we can do it straight after R1 or something like that, right? Where we change, because, oops, sorry, I understand. So a little bit of concern is that from the moment you have the sandbox out, changing it is going to be hard.
Yeah.
For backward compatibility reasons, but of course you could still, you can do that with versioning and so on and so forth. So I think there's ways around, but it would have been the best if we do it now, but I'm afraid that we are putting too much stress on ourselves.
Yeah, I think it's too late. Yeah.
Bala?
So, Bala, I think, yeah, better to defer to after R1. I think that's what we're saying. Are you talking? Because you are on mute if you're talking.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was talking. Was I on mute? Oh my god. So okay, I was saying the same thing. I was thinking, yeah, I was agreeing with the decision that we should move it after R1, because after other changes that it would necessitate, and then we already have enough. Yeah, thank you. And I was also saying that we could do it. We don't need to wait till R2. We can do some intermediate release as well with this all this tidying up of things. So.
It gives us more time to decide on what.
You said exactly. Cool. Thank you. Sunbucks. This one again. I think we should defer this. What do you think, John?
Yeah, this is very much a nice to have. Like, you can just say deferred now, and if like I've got nothing to do on Thursday morning.
Yeah,
that's a joke. Okay.
It seemed like we have a lot to do post R1 immediately. So once R1 is dropped, we should organize that instead of just tackling it ad hoc.
Yeah, I think, yes, I think I will create a somewhat of a nicer board.
Okay.
And once it is done, I'll go through the list and see what it is, and then I'll make a list of things that is fault.
Yeah, that and also maybe set the goals for R1 plus, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Because right now I'm listening, I'm watching, and it seems like a lot of these are parallel tasks or independent tasks, but what's the goal, right? Try to clean it up or pretty it up or whatever.
Yeah, thank you.
So like, so I think that we'll talk about it probably in the first meeting after release, or I won't be there the following week, but everybody else is free to talk about it, or we can talk about it when I get back. But like, yeah, we need to set some specific priorities for second, not for R2, but for R1 plus plus. I'm looking to the SIG1 and TSC to set the bigger direction for like an R2, but we know lots of these little things that we can do in the interim. And so we should sort of sort that out.
Yeah, John. Yeah, that makes sense.
Just want to
For what it's worth, in my own interest, I would vote for when John's come back because next week, half of next week, I'm not available. So
Maybe we can
but
take
I
a
think we
break.
all need kind of a break.
We need a break.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Break is good.
Yeah.
A break is good. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So thank you. And then let's go through the board. I know we are bored.
Just
Let's
wanted to add a point.
10 more minutes. Yeah,
in
Vish,
case
go
you-
ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say it should be also seen that, we should actively seek out folks to install Nephew and treat it like almost like, I'm thinking it's more like a beta version of this point of time for folks to actually go deploy it and come back with feedback, outside of this team, who can actually go try it out with the documentation and all and plan for any issues that gets that is seen by them and stabilize it. Maybe something very similar to what Anne is trying to say.
Absolutely.
No, excellent
That's
point.
a good point. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, actually,
almost forgot.
me and Vish have a personal goals internally to, work with our teams to make it install on OpenShift and come back with the feedback there. Yeah.
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah. Actually, I almost forgot. Mathania has asked me for an update on R1 and when they can get their hands on it just to try it out. So I know at least one other company participant who is interested in, checking it out and beta testing it.
Cool. Thanks, Sam. Pretty good. So let's go through the board. I know we are just a few more, but Vish, quick note on this one. This is 238.
Yeah, I think.
Are you dependent on Vim's?
Yes, waiting for a signal from Vim.
When?
Vim, you think I'm ready to do this? I don't think so, I believe, but.
Oh, we need to merge. So that's the story with John, right? We need to
Yeah.
merge. What is it?
Yes.
285 or what is the number is?
Yeah, there's a few things that need to happen still.
Yeah.
This
so
is the one we're trying to get to by the end of today.
This is, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Until then, I'm still coming up. Yeah.
Because
So,
I'll check in the network thing from the moment you have this, because otherwise I have to import all the same dependencies again.
Mm.
And by the way, John, I found the issue in my environment with Porch. I sent that also in Slack. I don't know if you saw it. So there is, because of the local replace that is happening in kept and Porch, we need to add a rule in our replace statement in our Go mod file that solves it.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. I see on this one, the make end-to-end call, I see the test is, I don't know how this widget, this Zoom, it doesn't collapse by itself. It's so difficult for me to open a different tab. Let me try this. Let me try this and click and see if it goes away. Oh, no. Okay. Dennis, if you're still on the call, I think
Dennis dropped off. Yeah, Dennis dropped off.
Okay, cool.
He wrote a script to do this. So the idea is that
I think that is merged
want this to be
already.
part of
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not ready. Oh, it merged?
Yes, it says it's merged.
The last 8 hours it got
probably
merged.
shouldn't have merged, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
We'll the idea is that, right, this script right now, like you run all these scripts and they fail at a certain point. Eventually we want them all to go green, right? And so this is one of those scripts we want to go green as we get. But this is like one of the, after we get all the network functions running, after we get the networking between them working, then this can go green. So
yeah, got it. Awesome. So this is 239. this one, I think Ravi put something in the chat. 239. Sorry, I had to drop at 9:30. The UPF scaling script had iteration with John, issued a PR. It's in a draft script. Need to iterate on that. I think this is in progress.
Yeah, it's
this
in progress.
Yeah. Okay. This is basically scaling, vertical scaling of UPF by instantiating a
Changing
bigger
the-
VM, bigger
Yeah,
pod.
it's increase the capacity of the
Yeah.
UPF requirement, and then we should see the operator reissue a new pod of larger size.
Yeah.
And this is the same thing. And Anne was looking at it, but and got started on it, but like she said, she's busy. So I think we can wait for Ravi's thing because it's going to be almost identical to Ravi's thing.
Okay. So okay, cool. So, Anne, do you have anything else to add to what John already said?
No, okay. I have other priorities next
Got it.
Tuesday, Wednesday that I have to prep for.
Okay.
And I'm not available at all. I'd like to, but it's
Okay.
the other thing is more important. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Okay, the end-to-end UI test, I just added a comment the other day. I think most likely it's going to be a manual test. It's mostly we exercising the UI operations based on our installations. That's what I'm thinking, John. At this point of time, it's not really doing anything automated test at this point of time for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, I think once things install, probably we developers playing with it, we'll test it.
Yeah.
And rest of the issues are either related to all of the issues. I'm not going to go one by one, but I just scrolling down. But rest of the issues are either NF topology or the edge state segregator, both on the server and the edge side. So where do we stand on that? I know I don't want to go one by one in the interest of time, but they are either related to that status aggregation, status reporting, or the NF topology. So for the R1, from the R1 perspective, where do we stand on those aspects?
Yeah, the NF topology, I assume that's part of the whole SMF thing. So I'll have an updated PR today. And then obviously that's part of the integrations too. When I get with the, well, I mean, the only thing I need to do then now there is a package name, not the package name, the PVF name. So yeah, that's the NF topology controller should be hopefully out. The non-draft, more official PR should be out today.
Okay, so basically, Stephen, that means the NF topology will be part of R1, right? We were thinking in and out. So
it's an example thing that sits right next to it. It's not going to be integrated as part of it's not part of Nephew controller or Nephew operator. Yeah, but it'll be another different package that would be showing up.
It'll be a separate controller you can deploy.
Yeah.
So I think that would be awesome. I think that we'll.
But did we already integrate that with
the
controller managers, John? No, right?
It hasn't. Yeah. So the thing is, like, I want to get that SMF up and running. First, we should be able to do it manually with package variant sets. And once we have that, that's a sort of precondition for the topology controller to work. So like, I just want to go stepwise, right? Let's get that working, and then we can get the topology controller working on top of that. But like, just like with the networking stuff, I want to get it working, and then we can add the dynamic piece if we have time. Like we have to get the core, we have to go stepwise. So that's all. But that would be awesome if we could get this in.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. And what about the edge status aggregator or the
so the topology controller also has a second piece where we interface with the ESA. So that piece been working going for a while. Obviously, the code's not checked in yet, but then that will be the interface piece.
Okay. So I know a lot of things are there. I know you and Tal and Arvind were working on that. So for the water agent, for example, So
The launcher agent, we haven't done a lot of changes. So the idea would be we kind of have to find a way to bring it up on the workload cluster.
okay, so basically they may not be part of R1, or I'm sorry, I may be confused with a lot of different things going on here. Maybe a silly question. So is it going to be part of R1, or it's going to be R1 plus plus?
So if we have a package and the package works, we can easily add that as a
Okay.
package that gets installed on the edge clusters by just adding a package variant rather in the Nephiel workload cluster package. We do that with other things. So that's not that's totally doable. But we need a package built and and an image built and all that.
Okay. Yeah. So let's build a package. I mean, I'll do that after the SMF stuff is working then. So this is probably on.
Yes, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, that already makes sense.
We would like to see it in R1, but then it's lower priority than the other thing.
Yes. So yeah, probably on this one tomorrow we can take one more call on these apps. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much. Anything else that we need to discuss on this? So Rado, if you're still on call, probably we may have to think about scripts that will cut a release or something. Please think in those lines as well. How to create a release, like a pro job or a script or something.
Yeah.
I want to raise something for post R1, R1++. I think it's based on my own observation. I've been deep diving on SMF and I didn't track the package specialization or composition and all that. So I would imagine other people who did the reverse would know about SMF, AMF, UPF. Maybe we should have a series of recording or session where new contributors or existing contributor who want to cross operate can be brought up to speed. That's something to think about, not to do.
I think that's a great idea. Yes, we absolutely should do that.
Yeah, because
also, and I mean, Wim had a series of kind of tutorials that's on YouTube, and probably you can mark. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I saw some of that real time, but so much has changed since. And like this came from my struggling with the SMF script yesterday, right? I was trying to get it to, and I had to learn like, oh, cap function. Now, do I need to write a cap function? How do I write one? That kind of stuff. And based on the current install code base, current code base, because the stuff we did earlier in February, March may have evolved. So
yeah, for example, I mean, it's a good point, Anna, and we definitely have to do that, right? Because otherwise, we need consumers of our stuff, right? So the only way you can get consumer of your own stuff is by one, documentation, and secondly, like videos or whatsoever, right? So that is the thing. The nice thing for me, I mean, yesterday I actually wrote a new function out of the blue, and I could follow the same pattern, which is for me, it's already a good test that what we is having some legs. But of course, I would like to have thousands of these functions written, and then if the pattern holds, then we are on the real right track. But yeah.
Well, I also was thinking that there are only like a handful of us, right, who have been writing code, and it's not scalable going forward, right?
Correct.
So we need to get more
thinking very similar to what Anne is thinking. Plus, I was thinking, can we do like a virtual workshop like what we did in Seattle, right? Like 1 or 2.
Yeah, I kind of am envisioning a month of, at least a month of just recording short videos, tutorials for both contributors and consumers, and just promotion, and trying to talk a lot. And yeah, I think there's a huge amount of work there.
Yeah,
I
because
think John has created a very nice epic also in that spirit.
yeah. Now, I think beyond just promotion is also getting people to be more involved. Basically, you know, more than the 10 of us who have been contributing code. I want more than 10, right? So we can scale. Is what I'm really thinking.
Absolutely.
There's quite a few people who did code, by the way.
I mean, yeah, I
It's
picked
not,
10 off the
I
top
agree
of
with
my
you,
head.
it's not 50 or something, I think.
Yeah, I didn't mean to disparage anybody. I'm just, yeah, thinking like there are only a bunch of us, and if we want to scale the project and get better adoption.
Correct. Because even I don't think I understand all parts of it, you know, in general, even though I've been involved. I mean, it's just like I need to figure out how to clone myself, like all Wim and John does.
Yeah,
Yes.
right now I would call, and tell me if I'm wrong, I would say John, Vim, and Steven are the three that, and who else? I think those are the three main ones who understand this end to end. The rest of us are bits and pieces, you know, and I want to generalize more. That's all.
Yeah, I might understand at a very high level, you know, like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
this is what it does. But, you know, if I want to get in, if somebody is asking me for some.
Yeah. I mean, my experience yesterday was, you know, I should have been able to do that, but I couldn't because I didn't understand enough and hadn't been involved enough in the other side of the house. So that's the driver for me.
No, I think that's both a success and a failure, right? Like in one sense, right, we divided up so that people wouldn't have to know everything. And so that's good that you didn't have to know everything to contribute. But we do want to get to where people we have enough breadth of knowledge for people. But I just think the timeline's so compressed that we just had to do what we had to do. But you know, I think that's 100% valid what we need. And I think we'll get there. This is just early project growing pains.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think we'll be there. I think there'll be some with the few workshop education sessions.
All right. Thanks
Well,
for bringing this
personally,
point.
I want to be, sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
personally,
actually, and
I want to
that's
be
a great
like,
point. Yeah.
personally, I like Vim, right? Just create a new function for fun. That's
For
pretty
fun,
hardcore.
yeah. I mean, I didn't do it for fun. I actually did it for nephew, but it's just, it was a function that was completely not thought about, right? You see? For me, that's so things
It was a
that
missed requirement.
Yeah, so it's
so I'm sorry, folks. I do have to drop off now.
Yeah, I know.
So
I'll
see. We'll see. Okay.
Quickly,
Thank you
Bala,
all.
on 239, was there any feedback? I'm sorry, I had to drop.
No, we just discussed. I think John said it's a work in progress. You and him are working on
Okay.
that.
Okay, then I'll iterate with John. Okay, yeah, that's
This
fine.
is the PR
Thanks.
you pushed over the weekend, right? Yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, that's also another thing I want to say. It's very hard to make context changes when reviewing PRs. Maybe these are all things we can discuss. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
probably
well,
let's
I'm
do
not-
a release. Let's do this after release one, postmortem a little bit, how we can do certain things better. Yeah. All right, folks. I know we are well over time. Thank you so much, especially the folks in Europe who stayed. It's very late for you guys, and I really appreciate. And I know Dennis has a travel coming up tomorrow. Wim is in Rome, and Lado is very late for him, and a few others. I would say everyone in Europe. I know Victor maybe is on vacation too. Who knows? Are you still on vacation, Victor? So overall, I really appreciate staying back late on this call, and let's get it done. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody.